My microphone, she broke. Hello, I'm Candid Frank Stanishi of Candid Frank Live. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate, leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, my buddy, my friend, the hard-hitting goaltender, Aaron William Freeland.
Hey Frank, how you doing?
Raced from Toronto, and Barry had I guess they must have had a drop of snow that just went. There are all kinds of trucks around, cops, accidents. I got through that. It was an interesting experience. Driving into Toronto, I always, when I go, I remember why I don't like driving there.
It's the same thing for me too. It's why I totally like taking transit in. I let somebody else do the driving for me.
It's smart. It's intelligent. And it's a lot less stressful. Mind you, it's not stressful when I have my mother in the car because she does all the stress for both of us.
Well then,
that's what happens when you're 93. You have well, it's not the kind of stress that's hard to handle anyway. All right, so let's talk about what's going on, and we'll start with the Canadian Football League. And I got to tell you, Aaron, it took a while. The Argos Bethel Thompson fined for the camera push. Yep. Edwards handed a 6-game ban for having a little tete-a-tete with a Hamilton Tiger Cat fan.
And 2 Hamilton Tiger Cat fans were actually charged with trespassing as well. So that's the other side of it. But yeah, the athletes are always going to end up getting the raw deal on something like this. I personally don't think Edwards should have gotten 6. However, in the eyes of the league, they felt that punishment was justified. So there you have it. As for
I think this one's going to go the same as the Toronto suspension for the hockey team. Starts at 6, end up at 4.
Wow, by the time they get around to hearing it, it'll probably have served all 6 anyway. So, it doesn't really matter.
Well, they can hear about it now. It'll be fine. There's a rumor out of Hamilton that they're claiming that those weren't Hamilton Tiger Cat fans. In fact, they were Argo fans dressed as Hamilton Tiger Cat fans.
Oh, are they pulling that old conservative false flag?
It's a false flag thing. Yeah,
it's so tiring, Frank. It really is.
I know, and I'm sorry to have tired you a little more. Connor Hellebuck laments NHL handling of the virus, players, and of course the Olympic withdrawal. That's bad news for sure for all of us. For those of us that love hockey and at its competitive best, losing the Olympics, the Olympic event, at least in hockey, everything else we don't know where that's all going, but that's sad. That's too bad.
It is understandably. I find the attitudes towards some people saying, "Oh, we sacrificed so much." No, you didn't. You play a kid's game for a living and make millions of dollars doing it. You haven't sacrificed anything. The people that are really sacrificing are the people that work concessions, the ticket takers, the ushers, the people that, people right now that are being shut out of work if things close down. Those are the people that are making the real sacrifices during this pandemic. Connor, you play a game.
I think not going is the absence of a sacrifice because they don't get paid. And they do it because they love to compete for the Olympics, right? It's a matter of it's the competitiveness and the honor attached to winning a gold medal at the Olympics. That's something, every player, every athlete everywhere, winning a gold medal it means a lot. But as far as sacrifice is concerned, no, not really, because they're not losing money, right?
Exactly.
It's all personal prestige that this is about. It's just prestige. Is there a financial gain? I suppose in some cases, players who don't get the kind of attention that they that they do in the Olympics because they're playing in a hither and yon territory, playing hockey where people barely care about the game, right? I can see that benefit, but for guys that are playing and are famous to begin with, for example, the big guy, Connor McDavid. This is because he has not won a gold medal, and the clock is ticking for him. So the sacrifice that's the sacrifice that is being made, is that they're losing an opportunity to be able to say they want a Stanley Cup, a gold, and all that stuff, right? So it is kind of sad for them, but I think really though, Aaron, I think it's sadder for the fans because, I mean, the Olympics raise the level of, the country's, it's a real flag operation. It's not a false flag. This is as flaggy as it gets when it comes to the Olympics.
No, it's true. I mean, I would love to see the players be able to go, but at the same time, don't play it up like it's some sort of huge sacrifice that you're making. It's not. It's not. Just it's an opportunity that you don't have, but it's not that.
If Aaron, I tell you this though, if it was in the United States, it would be played. I'll bet you dollars to donuts that it would be played if it was in the United States. Because it's in China, and I'm not talking, this is not about, I'm not being a racist here. I'm being a realist. Soon as they said, if you end up with COVID and you're in China, you got to stay there for 4 or 5 weeks. That really put a damper on the idea of going to China for the Olympics, because no organization in the National Hockey League wants to be absent of their best player for what would be about 3 weeks beyond the event itself.
Exactly, and there's other things to contend with once they get back as well. So,
yeah,
there's also the testing requirements in Canada and the United States that they'll have to be concerned with. So, I mean, honestly, at this point, were I an NHL player, and I'm not, and I never will be, but were I an NHL player, this is the perfect time for you to rest up, get healthy. Any of the ills that you may have had, those bumps and bruises, those nagging injuries, this is the perfect time to rehabilitate those, because you're going to have some downtime. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
And on top of that, coaches that are taking over right now are getting training camps.
Exactly. In particular, Bruce Boudreau is just taking over in Vancouver. So this is an opportunity for Bruce to do something he hasn't had the opportunity to do in the past couple of weeks, and that's sit down and work with the players and talk everything over with the players. They've stopped playing games, but that doesn't mean that everything else has stopped. It's basically what it boils down to for the NHL.
Absolutely. And in Calgary, future cost overruns or present cost overruns or costs that were not calculated at the beginning that have been added on since, it comes down to, I think, like $1.5 million. And I guess it's fair to say that the Calgary Flames organization hockey team gagged on that and said, nope, we're not in anymore.
I think it's interesting that of all of the arenas that are out there, I believe Calgary and Edmonton's are the only 2 NHL arenas in Canada that were fully publicly funded. And the fact that the Flames are being asked to bear some of that cost and them noping away from it is
yeah, they don't realize how lucky they are. They don't, it's too bad. They don't understand that, because the government and the federal government's not giving them a cent. This is all provincial and city money and land. I don't know if the federal government owns the land that they're using, or provincial or city. I don't know about that, but there's no money coming from the federal government for this team.
Put it this way: the city was asking for them to foot the bill of 1 player contract, $9.7 million, and they just said, "Nah, we're good. We're going to keep playing in this other publicly built building that's been around since 1988."
And in fairness to the Flames, and in fairness to everybody involved, and I mean everybody involved, money's hard to come by right now, Aaron. It's real tough. Money's pretty tight.
See this look on my face? That's me not buying it.
Oh, okay. Well, when I say the money's not there, I'm not talking about whether these are rich people who I think under normal circumstances, I agree with you 100%. Under these circumstances, I don't agree. But I have to remember what you said, and I have to harken back to that. And that is, they're getting assistance, stuff that, like BMO, for example, it was money that, was used from a different purpose, just like, Tim Hortons Field. It was, not money that is not strictly, that MLSC is paying. MLSC has thrown some money in there and run the place. So it's not unusual that these organizations are being asked for money, right? It's not unusual. So, and we know Edmonton had a lot of fun doing theirs, but they've got a beautiful stadium, and they are fortunate because they got in after under the wire. Because after
Yeah, they
that,
really did.
I don't know, Aaron, how much of what they did, which is beautiful. That stadium, that arena, I should say, is beautiful. Yeah, that would be tough. Rumor has it that Babcock's headed somewhere, namely Edmonton.
Yeah, had heard that. Apparently, he's been having a lot of fun coaching at the university level, so I'm not 100% sure if they'd be able to pry him away from that. But also, there's no real impetus for him to go and get involved with another NHL team while the Leafs are still paying him mad
Yeah,
cash. So,
because then there'd be a discussion over if a team wants him. I think the Leafs have some say over where he goes if they're still paying him, right?
yeah, there's that, and there could also, I think, potentially be draft picks involved if a team hires
Yeah,
him.
if a
So
team
I
wants
don't know
him
if
to.
the Oilers want to do that. So
Mind you, the Oilers have been like the Leafs, like, well, you remember what happened with our star four-way player that went there from Toronto. They could have got a draft pick, but they decided not to go for the draft pick because they didn't want him to get an extra year. I don't understand why they cared. If an extra year, I still don't get it. Let's go over to basketball, and we've seen games postponed. There were 5 originally. The NBA has allowed teams to sign replacement players, because of the infected players, and of course, it's such a wave of cases. But Adam Silver comes out and says, "But we have no plan to stop or pause the NBA season due to COVID-19, Omicron, other or otherwise."
during an interview that I saw yesterday, he had indicated that they realize at this point that COVID isn't something that they're just going to be able to do away with. It's something we're going to have to live with. So the NBA's staunch refusal to pause anything is an indication that they're trying to move forward. They're trying to move forward with the plan that this is the way it's going to be moving forward. And as soon as we can change the first 2 letters of pandemic to endemic, the better.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, at this point here, looking at the way that Omicron is spreading as compared to Delta and Gamma and all the other variants, this is something that we're going to be with. It's going to be with us for a while.
I don't
So
think he was guaranteeing that there'd be people in the stands either. I think he was just
no,
talking about the games, the players, and doing what they need to do. Because for them, for the NBA, unlike the CFL, the main money they make isn't going through the turnstiles. It is the TV contracts that they have.
yeah, and that's an issue. I think a lot of the smaller leagues are going to find is because they are gate driven.
Yep.
Um,
It's a little
it's
more
an additional
difficult for
concern.
them. It's
Yeah.
a little more difficult for them to. That's why we have this big thing now that a lot of arenas are starting to do. They're starting to say, well, let's see, what can we say and do to make the government and the agencies, the health organizations in each whatever constituency they're playing in, make them feel better about having people in the stands. Well, yeah, let's not let them eat or drink.
And that's the thing. Like a lot of what goes on now for fans at games is the eating and drinking. So
Right.
you take that out of it, and it makes it harder to draw people for games.
And in some cases, depending on how good the teams are, the drinking could be very important. I'm
No,
kidding.
there's
I'm kidding. I'm
there's that
kidding. I'm
too.
kidding. I'm kidding. Federal government expands COVID relief benefits in the face of Omicron.
So this is something that people had been talking about for a while now, and by a while I mean at least the past week. They're looking to expand financial relief programs for workers and businesses based on new provincial restrictions. So again, what the provinces are doing, it's now falling on the federal government to remedy. They have something called the Canadian Worker Lockdown Benefit and the local lockdown program, which you'll be able to apply to if you're subject to capacity limiting restrictions. This is really helpful for individuals who work in bars, restaurants, movie theaters, that sort of thing. For example, the LLP or local lockdown program will now include businesses that are subject to capacity limiting restrictions of 50% or more, and will reduce the current monthly revenue decline threshold to 25% from 40%. So you now have to lose less money to qualify for it. So they've made it easier. The lockdown benefit will be expanded to include workers where provincial or territorial governments have introduced capacity limiting restrictions of 50% or more. It'll provide $300 a week to eligible workers who are directly affected by a COVID-19 related public health lockdown and who have lost 50% or more of their income as a result.
Toronto opens thousands of vaccination slots over the holiday weekend.
Yeah, so this is good news for those of us like myself who are still waitlisted, who are searching for vaccines. The city of Toronto has opened up an additional 6,600 spots for the 26th, 27th, and 28th over the Christmas long weekend. So that is something to keep your eye out for on the COVID portal site.
Ouch! Paramedic service hit with 30 COVID-19 cases after an off-duty gathering. Ouch.
Yep. There were 30 paramedics, but as well as 93 patients who were determined to have been in close contact. The exposures took place at a social gathering on December 15th. However, the group that controls paramedics in Ottawa was very clear to state that this is not something that they've endorsed. As part of an effort to try to keep their employees safe because they are frontline workers, the Ottawa Paramedic Services said that they discontinued every single sort of public and mass meeting and group party and everything like that they've had scheduled since March of last year. So this is entirely on the individuals who decided to go to this party on their own because it was not an officially endorsed OPS party.
Saskatchewan forgoes holiday COVID-19 restrictions despite dire projections. But again, there's 1 million people in that province. It's a pretty big province. It's not a very densely populated place. What they go through and how they handle it, I respect their opinion. And if you're from Saskatchewan, you could pipe in. I'm just going to stand on the sidelines and go, okay, well, that's good. You guys keep living. Enjoy. Hope it works out.
No, if Scott Moe believes that they can get through it on their own, then that's great. That's absolutely fantastic. More power to them. Obviously, in a province with only 1 million people, that's a slightly different situation than a province like Ontario, where there's 18 million people. So, best of luck to them.
I want to say this right because I don't want it to come out the wrong way. Minnesota McDonald's employee jumped out of drive-through window to help choking customer, and I want to reiterate, to help choking customer.
Now, is that to help?
Because I can imagine the other thing happening.
Choking the customer.
I can imagine the other thing happening.
So big kudos to Sydney Rayleigh, who was working the drive-thru in Eden Prairie when she noticed a customer coughing and gagging on a chicken nugget. Her daughter was in the passenger seat and looked freaked out. Rayleigh, who'd taken a Red Cross babysitter class when she was 11, instructed the woman's daughter to call 911, then used the Heimlich maneuver to free the nugget from the woman's throat. So that's very cool.
That is very cool. Congratulations to her. And it always is nice to see a good story, coming out of McDonald's.
Definitely.
Leftist Gabriel Boric to become Chile's youngest ever president.
Yeah, so this is very cool. Actually, I'm still trying to find that. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. No. You know what? I kept this in there from last week.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's what happened there. That's bad. That's my bad. The point is, this is the strange thing about politics in the world today. Young women, entertainers. We've got a lot of these in the world, Aaron, that these leaders aren't political mainstays. And by that, you know what I mean? People with a political background or a long in the tooth political background. And then, of course, you've got the other version where you do have the political animals that take advantage of the situation. And this is refreshing to me. I love
Definitely.
The idea that, that younger people are getting involved in politics because really, to be honest, hey, look, people my age, great. We have a lot of experience. And I think that's great, but sometimes a different perspective is required. And as I told my children when they first started to vote, I didn't tell them how to vote, but I told them to pay attention to what they need and vote, what they need.
Here's what's really refreshing. Now, Boris is only 35 years old. He's a former student protest leader, and he won the runoff against Jose Antonio Cast on Sunday. So he is, technically speaking, their most left-leaning president. His campaign included proposals to cancel student debt, which I'm sure would make him popular amongst the youngins, raise taxes on the rich, and further environmental protection efforts. He's also a Swiftie, a Taylor Swift fan.
Sounds like Biden Jr. to me.
Hey, you know what? He might have had some support from the Swifties, so that works.
Well, they use the same terminology, right, Aaron? I mean, they talk Build Back Better. In Canada, they're saying that when Biden started that. I think he did anyway. And you hear a lot of countries are using that. Let's build back better.
Yeah, he does actually have a wider base than just Swifties, though, as well, because he's also been endorsed by the South Korean boy band called Stray Kids. And he's also a fan of groups like Rammstein, Tool, Deftones, and Nine Inch Nails. So, it's a unification of pop fans everywhere. They called his win the triumph of the Stan vote. So
absolutely fantastic.
It's nice to see, and fresh blood is always a good thing.
I got this under environmental. Exquisitely preserved dinosaur fossil still inside its egg reveals bird-like hatching posture. I say that because there are no dinosaurs anymore, so I think it fits into the environmental concern that we should have.
Oh, definitely. It's a 72 to 66 million year old Oviraptorosaur embryo. It was found in Huangzhou, Huangqi province in southern China. But yeah, the way that it looks very similar to the way that birds looked before they hatch. So that lends further credence to the fact that dinosaurs later evolved into birds. So it's always nice to find scientific stuff like this.
I can't imagine how funny it would be 1,000 years from now. People find this dumb guy and a microphone, and worse, you in that sweater. The first thing they'd say is, "Did people actually wear that back then? What is he wearing?"
It's Christmas, man. I gotta.
We keep promising we're going to talk about your attire over Christmas. We haven't done it, so I did it today. I finally remembered. We only got a couple of minutes left. Third woman accuses Sex and the City star Chris Noth of sexual assault. He was known as Mr. Big, right? Wasn't he?
Yes, he was. So all of this is coming to light. I know that they sort of joked about him having a heart attack on his Peloton as a way to sort of get him out of the show, but not. It looks like they may actually finally be writing him out for good. So apparently he was a terror to work with on the set as well.
Well, it's too bad. I mean, not too bad for me, not too bad for you, too bad for him. It is what it is. You got to be careful what you do today. And unfortunately, you can't undo what you did yesterday. So basically, that sound you hear coming down the road, it can be tough.
Yep.
Wheel of Fortune fans upset with yet another technicality. This time it cost the contestant an Audi.
So this is one of those. She was doing the Final Jeopardy thing, and she had to answer the puzzle. And the puzzle was, "What are you doing?" The answer was choosing the right word. However, when the contestant actually got it out there, she took too long of a pause between right and word. And the judges determined that she took 4 to 5 seconds, which, as far as they were concerned, was too long. So,
yeah, they got to answer in a certain amount of time. Dan Bongino threatened to quit his radio show over a vaccine mandate. So,
he's still there.
Why is he still there?
He's trying to ride it out, portray himself as being persecuted and demonized for not being vaccinated. But like Ted Nugent's promised to be either dead or in jail by the time somebody else other than Donald Trump got elected. You're still alive. You're still here. Just give it up, man. It's all performative.
Well, you know what? And a lot of the hosts on Fox, it never happened. It never happened. But in private, this could ruin us.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Kidditch Association to change name of sport to distance themselves from J.K. Rowling.
And again, this is blowback from her anti-trans comments. So U.S. Quidditch and Major League Quidditch have begun the process of selecting a new name for their version of the sport. Yes, there are actual leagues going on in the States now.
Oh,
Some
I
people are
know.
saying that they've been waiting for the last minute to do this sort of thing, but it looks like they're finally getting around to it.
I set a favor for a friend, recording all the Harry Potters. Someone's going to be watching all the Harry Potters.
Perfect. It's an all-day marathon.
I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled. Well, Aaron, that takes care of our time today.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Frank.
You're welcome, Aaron. He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanishi. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news and entertainment sports programming we offer, please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.